It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for joining us as we have another exciting week ahead in Greater West Bloomfield. I'm Tyler Kieft. As always, I'm joined by Kevin McIntosh. Glad to be back with you for another week, Kevin.
What's going on, Tyler? Happy to be here. Another day, another opportunity per usual to talk to the community, and we got a lot to get to, so let's get straight to it.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend in Greater West Bloomfield, and that all really began on Friday night. An unfortunate situation. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office spending Friday night on Sylvan Lake searching for a missing boater. Unfortunately, their search ended in tragedy, as yet another drowning happened, this time close to home in the city of Sylvan Lake. Phil Ross, a Sylvan Lake resident who also happens to be one of our Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications commissioners, made the initial reports to law enforcement on that night. Here's what he had to report.
This boat was just drifting. Didn't look like anybody was at the controls or even in the boat. It went by us. We pulled out, circled the boat, and saw that there indeed was nobody in the boat. The keys were in it, and it was drifting toward the shore. Our main neighbor boat tied up to it, pulled it away from the shore. We called the sheriff. I met the sheriff and directed him out to where we were, and now there's a big search and rescue going on.
That was as of Friday night, just after this was initially reported to the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, and our team arrived on site. At that point, shortly after, first responders arrived on scene, including Sheriff Michael Bouchard and his Marine team, which leads these sorts of incidents in our communities in particular. They began their search for the missing boater, but that was a difficult task given very limited information and nobody else out there with him. So this is kind of how that search got underway from the sheriff himself.
Well, one of the biggest challenges in situations like this is we don't have a point of entry. Typically somebody else is boating or they're with the person, they see them go in the water. That gives us a relative starting point. Here we don't have that. All we have was a drifting boat, but it could have drifted from completely the opposite side of the lake. So we're starting in this area. We have divers in the water. We have 5 boats with sonar scanning right now. We have drones up and helicopters looking. But if we don't get anything in this vicinity, then we're going to have to put the whole lake in play.
Keep in mind that was as of Friday night, shortly after this investigation began. As the sheriff said, that's exactly what they did. They had to start from a starting point as close as they could get to where that boat was. That began at the community center, scouring for any evidence of any foul play or maybe where this person may have gone if they exited the boat. Any evidence of that, talking to nearby residents, talking to other boaters to get more information and trying to piece that story of how this individual went missing back as far as possible. Here was what the status was as of 8:30 p.m. on Friday night during that investigation.
So at about 2:30 or thereabouts, a boater who's a regular on this lake was seen pulling out in his boat to go out on the lake. At shortly after 5:15-ish, the boat was seen by other boaters drifting. They were able to capture the boat, bring it back to shore. Nothing in it as it relates to a person. It was empty, but it has his personal effects: keys, cell phone, wallet. So obviously that's troubling information. We've checked his house 3 times, checked the path between. We have his car. We have all his personal effects. The other thing we can't find and don't know where it is his dog. Oftentimes he goes boating with his dog. Dog's not at home, not in the boat. So, if somebody sees the dog come up or swim out of the lake or something, they may think it's a lost dog. It obviously very much might be connected to this. We'd like them to call us if we haven't found the dog by the time you air this. But that's kind of the synopsis at this point.
As of now, we have not heard any word on the status of that dog. As you saw in that clip, we had that number. You can scroll back on civiccentertv.com, on our YouTube page, and on Facebook to get that again. We'll give it again later on in this as well. But about 90 minutes after Sheriff Bouchard had said those words to our Dave Scott from our team, the body of Louis William Petra was found about 200 feet from the shoreline of Sylvan Lake in about 5 feet of water. That's per the preliminary report. The cause of death, at least initially, is being determined as a drowning. That makes this the 11th drowning of the 2024 calendar year here in Oakland County. Sheriff Bouchard explained sort of why his office believes we're seeing more of these drownings in 2024 than we have seen in years past.
Yeah, I mean, last year was tragic. Obviously, anyone lost on the water is tragedy, but it was nowhere near what we've had this summer. We've already had 10 drownings this year on our waterways in Oakland County, so this year's been an especially tough one. Sometimes when you have extremely hot days or a hot summer, more people go to the water, and sometimes those people are less experienced on the water, less experienced boaters, less experienced swimmers, and so we've had a number of swimming drownings this year from swimmers that were not strong swimmers. The last one, we had a young man dive in to rescue someone. He was able to rescue that person, and then he drowned. So it's kind of a combination of factors this year.
An hours-long search on Sylvan Lake from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office and partners from other organizations and nearby counties and other communities also in our local area supporting that investigation that unfortunately ended in tragedy with the body being found on Sylvan Lake. That individual boater who often would go out on Sylvan Lake with his dog and enjoy the waters, enjoy the peace and tranquility this time of the year, had an unfortunate accident out there. Per a report from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, he was not wearing a life vest at the time that he went into the water. He wasn't found, at least, with the life vest. That's what we have as of now. Following that hours-long investigation and, unfortunately, that tragic ending, there is some advice that the Oakland County Sheriff has for those in the community that will continue to go out onto Sylvan Lake and Cass Lake, Orchard Lake, and so many others across our community and beyond as we wrap up this summer.
Well, obviously, if you're boating alone, there's a much higher chance that if something happens, no one may see it and begin to have, a point of beginning search or a point of rescue, or in this case, potentially a recovery. So it's a good idea to tell people where you're going and have the right equipment on your boat. You know, there's different things that can give you geospatial tags, things like that, but at least tell someone, here's my plan, here's my intended route, I'm leaving the dock, you call somebody, and I'm headed to this point A, point B. Then at least someone else knows your travel route. And we suggest that whether it's on the water, whether it's out ice fishing, whether it's going in the woods hunting. You know, if you're going to go out alone to enjoy great Michigan outdoors, share the information with someone.
Always good advice to do that as you're going out and about, especially if you're going alone. If you're out with someone else, you got the benefit of the buddy system, but you can kind of employ that in your day-to-day life. If you're going to be out and about for a while, hey, look, I'm going to go to the mall and do some shopping. I'm going to be there for a few hours. If you don't hear from me in a few hours, if I'm not back home, give me a call or I'll check in with you. And if I don't check in with you, you can't get a hold of me. That's when you can start to have some concerns. That especially has to be the case when you're out on the water and if you're going to be out there alone, taking, of course, those safety precautions yourself, at least to have somebody keeping aware of you being out there. And that's actually what Dave Scott, our reporter on scene on Friday night, had done with me. He was planning on going up north as we begin our week, take a breather on Mackinac Island, and contacted me this morning saying, in keeping with the sheriff's comments, and it's 5 a.m. when I'm sending you this. I'm heading out on Lake Michigan alone, and I'm letting you know my plans. I'll have a report in with you via text prior to when you go on the air for the Splash Live. And if you don't hear from me by 10 a.m., it might be a good idea to get in contact with the Emmett County Sheriff and let them know my plans. I'm departing Charlevoix at 6 o'clock. I should arrive on Mackinac Island around 9 o'clock. And then go from there about my day. And as it stood 2 minutes before the show, I got a ding on my phone. It was Dave Scott texting me he had arrived on Mackinac Island. So that advice works, it keeps you safe, and it helps out in our community. Now, in the meantime, going back to what happened on Sylvan Lake, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office did release a statement over the weekend. This is directly from their office. The body of an 84-year-old Sylvan Lake man was recovered Friday night after his unattended boat was found drifting in the lake hours earlier. The body of Louis William Petra was discovered at about 10 p.m. in approximately 5 feet of water, 200 feet from the shore. He was not wearing a life jacket. The sheriff in this statement said, quote, "In an already extremely tragic summer, the loss of another person while they were enjoying the water is very sad. While we don't know what happened in this case yet, we encourage people, if they are not strong swimmers or they are alone in the water, to consider using a flotation device." Again, this is the 11th drowning in Oakland County just this year so far. In addition, the sheriff's office releasing another part of their statement saying that their divers responded to the scene and were assisted by dive groups from several other communities, including Chesterfield Township Public Safety, the Macomb County Sheriff's Office, as well as Lapeer, Livingston, Genesee, and Wayne County Sheriff's Departments as well, also assisting on this search and rescue effort. For more information on this and updates as they come in, you can follow the Oakland County Sheriff's Office on Facebook at OCSO Michigan. We will also do our best to keep in contact with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office and give you updates. Kevin, we just talked about this on Friday's edition of the program, as people are going to have a beautiful weekend. Get outside, get outdoors, get on the water. Some reminders of, hey, look, we've had 10 of these drownings in our communities over the summer. Here's what you have to do to keep safe. And it really becomes more evident, and it becomes more maybe real for people when it happens in your community.
It's very, very unfortunate and tragic news to report on, especially coming out of the weekend when we know a lot of people just want to enjoy themselves. But it should just be a sign. Like we said, we have been continuously talking about water safety. Even before the summer started, we wanted to be proactive when it came to that. So we want to just take these messages of tips of, like we said, water safety, and just spread those out to the community. And hopefully, if you already know about water tips, you can tell someone else. Like the sheriff said, there's been different situations. A swimmer helping another swimmer, but then tragically losing his life. People just not wearing life jackets. It's a bunch of different things. But overall, like you said, let someone know where you're going to be, and then at least help the community and our police authority.
Again, more information on this ongoing investigation can be found on oakgov.com/sheriff. If you have information yourself that may help in this investigation, 248-858-5000 is the number for the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, 248-858-5000. And hopefully we'll have more information on this very soon. Our thoughts are with the Petro family and his friends in the community as they undergo this tragic moment here in our community in the Tri-Cities. Kevin, over the weekend, people may have noticed outside a little bit of a cool down, a little cooler mornings, more temperate days, and that indicates perhaps a little bit of fall on its way here in Greater West Bloomfield. Probably reminded you of that. We're not too far away from the fall season and from all the fun. Leaves on the ground, pumpkin everything, everywhere, and of course, those fun fall events from West Bloomfield Park. Their fall guide and registration for all their fall programs is now officially open. Some of what's on the docket this fall across West Bloomfield: group and community hay rides in our parks, spooky animal story time, science magic, of course, the trick-or-treat trail at Marshbank Park, and so much more. And all of that can be found on wbparks.org, Kevin.
Oh, man, listen, I started to chuckle as soon as you said that because, yes, we are headed into fall. I know for certain people, that's a season that reminds them of something they probably don't want to deal with, like probably going to school and things of that nature. But overall, as a true Michigander, we love the fall season. Football, the colors, the leaves, the energy. I'm already looking forward to it, Tyler. Let's go.
Yeah, more of that coming up as we get into the fall. It's a fun time of the year with West Bloomfield Parks. And again, more on these programs can be found on wbparks.org. You can also find more information on these programs coming up on Facebook at WB Parks, as well as more of these will certainly pop up that are outside of the guide as we get out of summer and into the fall in Greater West Bloomfield. And nothing indicates the fall in Greater West Bloomfield better than high school football season. And while today is the first day of practice for West Bloomfield football, there's plenty more to come in the season ahead. We'll get a look into that and see a little bit of how the season got underway after this short break. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Hi, I'm Lauren Azuri, the Park Naturalist Supervisor for West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations to you, Civic Center TV, for hitting 1 million views on YouTube. We really appreciate your partnership in spreading nature education in a creative way in our community. I'm Lauren Azuri, proud to be 1 in a million.
Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Follow us on Twitter at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keefe alongside Kevin McIntosh. Fall is on its way. Football season also on its way in Greater West Bloomfield. Today is the very first day of official practices for high school football teams across the state of Michigan. We saw many do their practices right away at midnight, including one of West Bloomfield's biggest rivals for a state championship across the state. Belleville had their first practice at midnight tonight, but the Lakers will begin their practice today. But it all started at OAA Football Media Day just last week Friday. I had a chance to be out there and see every team across all of our OAA leagues, including the OAA Red Division, talk about the season ahead and get to know some of the players. A lot of that footage already online, civiccentertv.com. I talked to Coach Hilbers. I talked to a few of our star linemen, and even Sammy Termina, a good friend of mine from Orion Neighborhood Television and the host of the OAA Now podcast, to get a little bit of a preview of what the season's going to look like for West Bloomfield and that rivalry with Lake Orion Dragons coming up on October 4th at the Swamp. But plenty football ahead, live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Joining me again this season in the booth on the call, my color commentator, Matt Catoni, back with us on the Splash Live. Glad to have you with us, Matt. Yeah, happy to have you with us as we get ready for the football season. And, you know, from the moment that last game ended with Southfield A&T and you know, that final play that sent the Warriors to Ford Field where they ultimately captured the Division I championship, we've been anticipating this moment. Now that it's finally here, it's an interesting outlook we have in 2024 for this Lakers team. Lost a lot of talent, but they got a pretty interesting squad coming back this fall.
Yeah, and looking at that OAA Media Day, it looked like Coach Hilbers was trying to send a message by bringing all of those trench players, specifically that offensive line, who is quite bulky, specifically looking at Jay Gardenhire, the transfer from DePaul, New Jersey. It's just very impressive, his size, 6'8". There's one thing that his coach in college, Deion Sanders, knows, is that you can't teach size or speed. Now, with Gardenhire, they have a little bit of size to go with that speed they have on offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how this West Bloomfield offense kind of adjusts to the changes that they have on offense.
Yeah, and there's some good news and some bad news potentially that goes along with this West Bloomfield team in 2024. They have lost a lot of talent. Arguably the greatest quarterback they've ever had in their program in Rick Nance, who, number one in single season career passing touchdowns, number two in career passing yards. He's graduated, he's gone. But they bring in Bo Jackson, who's a 2-year starter from Novi Detroit Catholic Central in his replacement. And they lose guys like Brandon Davis Swain and Jameer Benjamin on the defensive side of the ball. But the good news there is this offense looks like it's going to be a lot of the same in 2024. They're bringing back a lot of talent.
Yeah, having those guys on offense, Elijah Durham, Cameron Flowers, and Josh Tate, really allows them to have that level of consistency that will, kind of allow them to build off of the momentum that they had at the end of the year last year. Especially considering Bo Jackson's experience as a starter already. You don't kind of have to have a new starter coming in who's never really started games in a serious situation before and have to get them acclimated to that. They should kind of really just have to have a 1 or 2 game scenario to where they kind of get used to playing together and then take off from there.
Yeah, Bo Jackson completing 51% of his passes on average over the past 2 seasons at Catholic Central, over 1,000 yards passing and 12 touchdowns in his first season, and then 752 yards and 5 touchdowns as a junior in the air. Going to have a lot of weapons on this offense with Flowers, the now Toledo commit, and Elijah Durham, who's starting to get the attention he deserves with offers from Wisconsin, Western Michigan, Toledo, and more. That 3-star senior who will likely be a 4-star by the time we get to the end of this season. On the other side of things, very young defense for the Lakers, especially in the trenches, losing a lot of that core on the defensive line.
Yeah, that's really where Tank Pittman's going to be huge this year for the Lakers. Kind of having that centerpiece right there as really one of the more experienced players on the defense is going to be huge. Really kind of allow them, as a rock, so to speak, just kind of hold everything down and ultimately try and change momentum when he can. Similar to what Brandon Davis Swain meant to the defense.
Yeah, certainly. And you look at this defensive front, Tank Pittman, really the only starter from that D-line that is returning. Now, the good news with that is a lot of the younger players that were on the defensive side last year saw a lot of action in some of those blowout games. And with a lot of substitution in the playoffs in particular, getting some guys down the depth chart, some really significant experience during critical points of games throughout the season. And that's something that Coach Hilbers was really harping on at OAA Football Media Day as I talked to him, is the youth of this team can be a benefit. It's a benefit because they've seen a lot of action already and they have so much more development to move forward with this season. It could also be a drawback on the other side of that with the growing pains and with the strength of this schedule, Matt. Looking at the 2024 campaign, they begin on August 29th at home at the Swamp, Thursday night, family fun night, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM against the Chippewa Valley Big Reds, a team that went 9-3 last season. And their opponent's record last year, 71 wins, 31 losses. That's 69.6% of those games, ending in victories for these opponents. Every single week is going to be a challenge for the Lakers in 24.
Yeah, and similar to the Lakers, one thing that's kind of interesting, a lot of these teams also are having turnover at quarterback. Chippewa Valley and Birmingham Groves, both their first 2 games having turnover at that position. It's going to be interesting to see how all these teams adjust to these losses and new additions. And fortunately enough, the Lakers are at home for that first game to kind of really get used to it.
Yeah, the first couple games for the Lakers going to be very telling for this team, going up against Chippewa Valley, always a challenging squad to match up against, and then going up against Groves as well, a team that also made the playoffs. And then from there, you got a really challenging schedule. Rochester Adams, Southfield A&T, Clarkston, Lake Orion, and then an Oxford team that I'm expecting to make a big jump this year. A lot of juniors and seniors on that team. They had a lot of success on the offensive side of the ball against the Lakers in the rain on the big blue turf last season. Jack Hendricks is going to be a problem. Luke Johnson may be the best running back in the entirety of the OAA. And Matt, as we look at the official preseason coaches poll released on Friday, you're not going to be able to see it from here on the screen. Number 1 in the OAA red by the coaches, West Bloomfield, followed by Lake Orion, Clarkston, Oxford, and then Rochester Adams. As we get ready for that first game on August 29th. Matt, what are you hoping to see from the jump from this Lakers team that, again, veteran on offense, pretty young on defense?
Discipline, really. And that's one thing I know that Coach Hilbers is really going to coach up is discipline. Young defense, so you don't really want to see that many penalties. Really see them not put themselves in bad situations, see them make those crucial stops on third down. In offense, you just don't want to see any turnovers. New quarterback, want to see just kind of him keep things level, not turn the ball over, and just keep the offense on schedule.
Guys, I'm expecting to make a big jump. Jaden Allos, excellent on defense late last season, locked down in the playoffs, pair of interceptions against Rochester Adams. And Jonathan Edison also on that defensive side had some big plays late in the season coming up on the depth chart. Look to also see maybe more of the running game get involved in 2024 with Josh Tate. Matt, anything else for us before we head off today and get ready for August 29th?
Yeah, just to pick up on that last thing you just said right there, Josh Tate is someone I'm really interested to see how he looks this year. He was phenomenal at the end of the season last year, specifically as a pass blocker. That's going to be interesting to see how it factors in with this offensive line. I feel that's just going to make the passing game even stronger, but I'm very intrigued with him as a runner this year to see how he's grown in the offseason.
Lakers kick off their football season August 29th, Thursday night, high school football action under the lights at the Swamp. Before all that, it's family fun night at 5 o'clock at West Bloomfield High School. Matt Gattoni, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Matt and I will be on the call all season long, every game. Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM, our full comprehensive coverage at the Swamp. And hey, if you go out to the Swamp this season, you're going to see a lot of big changes, new scoreboard out there, some more fun in-game entertainment expected in Lakers Stadium as well. A fun season is ahead, Kevin. And this is really a time of the year where our community comes alive. Now, the summer comes to an end. That's a whole different livelihood that we see in the summer. But in the fall, around high school football, when you got a good team, it galvanizes the entire community.
Yes, brings the entire community together for a great fun night. As a matter of fact, family fun night at West Bloomfield High School is approaching very, very soon. And to talk about it more in detail, joining us right here live on the Splash, we have coordinator for the West Bloomfield School District's Family Fun Night, Julie Beatty, joining us. And can you just give us some insight on the planning process and what the community can expect from this year's event?
Well, the process is actually a long one. We meet throughout the entire year. So we always try to determine what worked, what didn't work, and how to improve the experience for the community, especially for the kids. So we always want to make sure that we have a lot of activities that are age appropriate for all of our students. So as you can imagine, that takes a lot of planning to make sure that our 8-year-olds are entertained as much as our 18-year-olds. So, so we're almost to the end. We have a couple more meetings for this one, and we're super excited to bring this opportunity back to the community.
Yay! Okay, so since we're talking about the 13th annual, which means there was a 12th annual. Let's get into are there any big changes from last year or any previous events that we're expecting this year?
We are going to have all of the armed forces represented this year, which we are extremely excited about. So they will be bringing things like climbing walls, different activities, pull-up bars. They possibly might be bringing some dog tags that you can make your own personal dog tags. And there's a surprise we don't want to leak out yet that we're hoping happens. So if you want to know what the surprise is, you have to come out on the Thursday, the 29th.
Okay, I'll be quiet. I hope maybe you'll tell me in my ear later, but yes, be quiet. But that's more excitement for people to come out there and see exactly what the surprise is. But I'm glad you mentioned the military, by the way. With me right here live on the Splash, we have coordinator for West Bloomfield School District's Family Fun Day, Julie Beatty. How did the idea of saluting the U.S. military come about?
That actually was one of the original components for the program. So actually this was founded by myself, Nancy Cooper, and Pat Watson, who was the principal of the high school at the time. And we really wanted to focus on creating this Friday night lights kind of experience for West Bloomfield. And back then, our football team was not as extraordinary as they are now. And so we really wanted to drive the community to come in and experience the high school, experience the football team, really create that kind of small town environment across multiple different communities. Because as you know, West Bloomfield School District covers 4 different communities.
Correct.
So part of that conversation was, how do we take this initial goal of creating a community event around our football games, but have a little bit more depth and meaning to it? And that's when we decided we really would love to give back to the men and women who serve our country and
There
put
you
their
go.
lives on the line, and voluntarily. That's I think is amazing about our armed forces. It's voluntary. And so we decided, all right, we want to be able to recognize the men and women in our military, but also those men and women who live in our communities who also put their lives on the line to
Good point.
protect us. So the police and the fire. And actually during COVID, we also were really recognizing a lot of the medical community as well. Anybody who's putting themselves out there to protect the rest of us,
Yep.
we wanted to make sure that we were recognizing and acknowledging that we as a community appreciate and want to give back at least on one day to them and recognize them.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I am all for that. These are all people or occupations, people that occupy these occupations that deserve that recognition, that deserve that appreciation. They don't necessarily get that appreciation every day. And every day, they're putting their lives on the line or saving ours. So I applaud, first and foremost, that effort to do that, and I'm glad you clarified that. Let's get into the community side of it. How do you feel the community and local businesses have contributed to the success and longevity of Family Fun Day?
It's critical, right? That everybody, the community and the local businesses and local community services participate in this. And we get great feedback from the community.
Nice.
This is our only district-wide event. And it really is nice where all the schools come together, but it's not just the schools, right? As you were saying, as we mentioned just now, we have the armed forces, we have the police, we have the fire, but we also have the different township leaders that will also be there. We have the Parks and Recs, we have the library, we have the Historical Society, the Rotary Club, our Children's Fund, youth assistance.
Wow.
We try to bring in anybody who partners with the school district and is a community leader. So we also have Henry Ford Health there. Caring Smiles comes in and supports us. We have Michigan Chiropractic. We also have Jets Pizza. Have Cuba Harbor Optimist. So then we have also then the school district. We have the students showing up, like the lacrosse team, the sailing team. We have the theater coming out to do face painting for the younger students. We have our Lego League robotics that show up. So we really try to go from the greater community
Right.
all the way down to our schools and our students being involved, not just showing up to have a great time, which I hope they all do, but also to be an integral part of the program.
Gotcha.
And having them be that integral part is what I think gives to the longevity
Yes.
of the program itself.
And
And really creates that community.
Yeah, no, and you said it the perfect way. I couldn't explain it better. Essentially, everyone coming I'm sorry, you kind of had me at Jets Pizza. That's been on my mind. But essentially, everybody coming together to make this happen and make it possible to enjoy themselves, that's what it means ultimately. Julie, we got to go. I do appreciate your time. But lastly, real quick, the details about Family Fun Day coming up in West Bloomfield.
Yes, August 29th. Show up. We officially start at 5. If you want to come a little early, that's totally okay. As I said, we're going to have all the armed forces here this year. We're going to have bounce houses, face painting. Hopefully, we're on that rock climbing wall. We're talking about possibly having a video semi-truck there. So come on down, be part of the community, enjoy the experience, get to go to that football game and recognize women of service.
That's right. Thank you again so much. We appreciate your time and that information. Once again, Julie Beatty, coordinator for the West Bloomfield School District's Family Fun Day, Thursday, August 29th. We appreciate your time.
Another great interview. Great things happening right here in our community. Like she said, the only district-wide event that they have in the school year. So I think this is a great time for the community to come out, celebrate basically the end of the summer and the beginning of the school year, Tyler.
Yeah, celebrate our troops, celebrate our first responders, get back into that school year swing. You know, it's the first week of school. It's a shorter week. That's the last week of that week of school because Labor Day, you get the Friday off, you get that Monday off. So it's a long weekend. It all starts with some fun and some great football, too. That's going to be a fantastic matchup to start the season on a Thursday night. No better place to be as we celebrate some changes in the Greater West Bloomfield school community. And Kevin, a lot to celebrate with some changes to our local community college as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tyler. As a matter of fact, some changes are happening at Oakland Community College that I want to kind of debunk myself, but I can't do it alone. So joining me right here on the Splash Live to kind of get a little bit more into it, we have the Chancellor of Oakland Community College, Peter Provenzano Jr. Thank you so much for being here, first and foremost, Chancellor. And I want to just talk about this Oakland County Student Debt Relief Initiative that's kind of helping students with student debt who are county residents and everything like that. Can you just talk about the role that Oakland Community College plays in helping with student loan relief?
Good morning, Kevin. Pleasure to be on your show again. I appreciate you having me. This debt relief program that the county has made available to Oakland County residents is really quite phenomenal. What it does is they've fronted the cost to contract with a company that will sit down with Oakland County residents to consult with them, to understand their college debt, to look at ways they may be able to refinance that debt, or there's a lot of debt relief that's out there that's very complicated. And so this consulting firm will help with our residents. And it's really coupled with the work that OCC is doing is really going to help move the needle for Oakland County residents, because Oakland Community College, as you know, is focused on helping students with a quality education and in a way where they do not have to take out all of that debt. There's so much in the way of free community college tuition that's available at OCC. Most recently, the state of Michigan announced that you can go to Oakland Community College for free if you're a recent graduate under the community college guarantee. Prior to that, we had a program called Michigan Reconnect for adults to return back to college and receive their community college degree, certificate, credential for free. And this is really helping to move the needle and get the message out that you can receive a very high quality education and it does not have to be expensive. The majority of our students are coming to us for free, very or little to no debt. So it's really quite exciting to partner with the county on this.
We love to see and know about these types of resources. You already touched on a bunch of different things I want to dive into a little bit more, but I appreciate that more than anything. Another thing I want to kind of get into is a partnership that you all have. Oakland Community College and Oakland University partnering to provide student housing for OCC students at Oakland University starting in the fall. Can you just give a little bit more information on what was the motivation behind this partnership?
We're very excited about this partnership. I love that picture that you had come up, and it's a great example of the fact that this is a win-win for both organizations as well as our students. We are the #1 transfer institution. We have more students that transfer from OCC to OU than any other community college in the state of Michigan. And that is one of the reasons why we have such a close partnership with Oakland University. They absolutely love our students, and because they are so prepared, they know that when OCC students come to OU, they're more likely to be successful and graduate. And so they work really hard at OU to create these seamless transitions, these seamless transfer partnerships between the two schools. And there's a lot of students that take advantage of coming to OCC, receiving their associate's degree, and then seamlessly transferring to OU. But this most recent announcement is really sort of, in my mind, like the cherry on top of the sundae. It takes things a step further, which allows our students at OCC who are looking for that campus experience to live on OU's campus. So they have the best of both worlds. They have the quality education at a fraction of the cost, maybe even free, by attending OCC. But then they also have the ability to live at Oakland University's dorms, and they have the ability to enjoy all of the amazing activities that are happening at OU, enjoy the facilities, utilize the facilities, and they're practically across the street from our Auburn Hills campus. So we're really excited about this. The demand has been pretty good. We just announced it maybe a couple months ago, and we anticipate for the fall, which is really a pilot, we anticipate probably 70 students to take advantage of this opportunity. And I think that it's going to grow from there. So we're really very excited.
Nice. And that's what you want. You want students to take advantage of it. You want to see it. That was a great turnout. People enjoy it. And the transition is just that much easier. And that's just proven success right there. So I would 100% agree. As a former undergrad college student living on campus, I already know how that enhances your college experience in general. But with us right here live on The Splash, we have Chancellor for Oakland Community College, Peter Provenzano Jr., just talking about the partnership with Oakland University, college debt relief, and things of that nature overall. So how do you see programs like the Michigan Reconnect program that you mentioned, as well as that new community college guarantee? How do you see that actually helping and enhancing and transforming the lives of adults who are going back to school?
We're seeing it transform the lives of adults already. So Michigan Reconnect was announced back in 2001, like February of 2001. We've seen over 5,000 students come to OCC to get back on their educational journey. So they may have stopped out, life happens, and they decided to come back to OCC to obtain their degree, credential, certificate. And these free tuition programs, I think, are going a long way to encourage students to come back. And I think it's also creating awareness, and interviews like this creates awareness, because I have students come to me all the time at all ages, and as they get a little bit older, and I'm talking even 25 years old, 30 years old, they falsely believe that it's too late for them to come back to school, that their time has passed. And that there's nothing further from the truth. It's never too late to come back to school. And these programs and this awareness about community colleges, I think, are helping those adult students recognize that they can come back to school. And they're a little bit intimidated, because many times they have families, they're raising their families, they're working full time, and life can be complicated. It can be very difficult to go to school while you're raising a family and working full time. But the thing that I want people in the community to know is that's what OCC specializes in. We're very different than a typical university where our typical student is working full time. Over 75% of our students work full time and attend school. So this is what we specialize in. Our instructors know that. We understand that we need to be more flexible to provide the right student support for our students so that they can complete and succeed. In fact, our instructors, one of the things I tell people all the time is our instructors, because we're not a research university, our instructors are at OCC because they love to teach. They love students. And I think that really shows in the classroom. And so we encourage students, especially our adult students, to get to know your instructor, communicate with them on a regular basis, take advantage of all of the support services that we have. We have counseling and advising to help you with class scheduling and mental health. But also we have tutors, free tutoring services available, and an academic support center at our campuses, as well as our online campus, to take advantage of. So it's never too late to get back to come back to school, and you're never too old to come to OCC.
Yes. I'm so glad that you painted that picture and talked about that, because it is a challenge kind of returning back to school, especially after you've taken a break, especially after you may have went to school in one decade and then you're in a completely different decade. Mindset is different, technology is different. So I completely understand that. And I want to kind of get into that a little bit more, if you don't mind. You spoke about flexibility that Oakland Community College has, and adult learners and returning to school and things of that nature. Can you just speak a little bit more into the flexibility that Oakland Community College has for your adult learners, especially in the sense of the different challenges that they have faced as adults now returning back to school?
Well, when you talk about flexibility, the one thing that we hear from, especially really all of our students, but especially our adult learners, is they love our online campus, our online classes that we offer.
There you
The
go.
demand for these have been so great that over 50% of our classes are actually offered online now, and it's growing. And our students love that flexibility. And what do I mean by that? As I mentioned, 75% of them are working full time. And so there may not be a
Right.
class that's being offered at the time that they may be able to attend that class. But with the online classes, they might be able to take that class on a Saturday or a Sunday or in the evening. They might work the night shift, right, or the day shift. And so they love the flexibility of those online classes as well as the online services. You have access to all of the services that we have available to our students on the campus. They're also available online. And so students love that flexibility. And what we're seeing is that there are students that take classes. Their classes are 100% online, some that are 100% in person, just based on their needs and their desire and what works for their schedule and their learning. But the vast majority of our students, like 80% of our students, take a combination of both in person and online because they're able to tailor a class schedule that meets their needs, right? So what do I mean by that? Oftentimes students might want to take a science class or a more difficult math class in person, but their English class, maybe, they're really strong in English and they're happy with an online English class. And so they mix and match these, which really helps provide the flexibility that they need to succeed and to take more classes. And that's key because the more classes students take, the faster they finish. And like anything in life, the faster you finish, the more likely it is that you will finish. And we really believe that this flexibility is key to the future of our residents.
And I love that. I love that. I love that that's all being considered also, especially for our adults right here in Oakland County. We appreciate your time. Before we let you go, Chancellor, any last words, messages for the community in regards to any of your programs or what you have going on at Oakland Community College?
We continue to invest in our online campuses as well as our physical campuses. We have a brand new Culinary Institute that's coming to Royal Oak, 78,000 square feet. Super excited about that. Brand new renovation we're doing at our Farmington Hills campus for health sciences. So all of our nursing and all of the health sciences will be in one location, and they'll be practicing in a hospital type environment. And then public safety, huge demand for public safety training. We're expanding that. In fact, what I always like to say is when you call 911 in Oakland County, chances are that either the dispatcher, the EMS that respond, firefighter, police officer, maybe the nurse in the hospital, they were all trained by OCC. So with all of the free tuition that's available out there, there's never been a better time to go back to school and come to OCC.
Hey, I love that so much. Take pride in that, man. I love it so much. We appreciate your time and your information again. Once again, from Oakland Community College, Chancellor Peter Provenzano, we appreciate your time, sir.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Tyler, another great leader right here in our community. It's just talking about the opportunities that are available for our Oakland County residents and our Greater West Bloomfield residents who are looking for that continued education.
Yeah, with the increased emphasis on affordable education, that starts right here, just up the road from us in West Bloomfield, just up Orchard Lake Road, heading toward the highway. You go past those on-ramps to 696, and there's the Orchard Ridge campus. You go back the other way into northern Oakland County, and you got the Auburn Hills campus. You got the online campus that Peter M. Provenzano talked about also now being a factor, and that partnership with Oakland University and with our other universities to transfer those credits. That's what I did. I started off at Oakland Community College, my first semester there, while I waited for deferred admission into MSU, and it was a great experience 10 years ago. I can only imagine how good of an experience it is now, so good to get that insight from Oakland Community College as they continue those partnerships in our community and have an impact far beyond their campuses here across our great county. Kevin, over the weekend, car show season got underway in Greater West Bloomfield.
Yes,
that all began at West Bloomfield High School, where the prolific West Bloomfield Atomigators robotics team hosted their second annual car show and fundraiser. And just after all those classic cars and hot rods and muscle cars left that parking lot, many of them went and traveled across the Greater West Bloomfield area and beyond for a fun game of poker with the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. Reporter Jake Schaff has the story.
Car show season has officially made it to Michigan. A chance for automotive enthusiasts everywhere to take a look at some impressive classic vehicles and even showing off some of their own. But this time of year isn't just for highlighting those classic cars, but it's to showcase the history that comes with them, as the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society put together a car rally to showcase some very important pieces of automotive history that most people probably weren't aware of, providing a chance for everyone to learn just a little bit more about Michigan's extensive auto history.
The Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society's 50th anniversary is this year, and we're having a poker rally that visits 6 historic sites in the Greater West Bloomfield area. At each site, you pick up a poker card and come back, and the best 3 hands that are collected randomly will get trophies.
Go into a little detail on the rally today and what inspired this event.
Well, because it's the 50th anniversary of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, and they wanted to think of a unique way to bring history to the people, because there's a lot of history in West Bloomfield area, and there are in most communities, but around here we have a lot of automotive history. And this spot that we're in right now was owned by Leroy Pelletier, and he was Henry Ford's right-hand man in marketing, I believe. And he owned 100 acres or 300 acres all around this neighborhood, so he probably owned the whole neighborhood.
I do have some historical data in the family still, but to come out here and be exposed to this and find out more and more every time I get involved with the Historic Society, and they tell me more and more about my lineage and the history of the family and the history of the geography. It's very interesting, and the treat this time is I get to bring my wife and and her sister and my brother-in-law to show them, and I'm pretty proud of it, for one, and it's exciting. My dad was in the Air Force. They lived in Michigan. We moved around, so I wasn't really exposed a lot to him and stories that he might have told, or family history there. So what I did get, I got mostly from my dad, and which was good. We have a fair amount of pictures of Leroy with Henry Ford and stuff of that era. But yeah, I learn a lot every time. I learn more every time I come out here, and it's exposed to the Historic Society. I really appreciate what they do.
How great is it to see so many people coming out today sharing an interest in not only automotives, but history in general?
Oh, it's great. It's like you see people's faces light up when we start to tell them about some of the sites, and they recall hearing a little bit about it, but get to see the whole story.
So much history that I just found it amazing and a lot of fun to work on this, because I did not know half the stuff I've learned by being on this committee for this particular year. So next year, we'll probably do a poker rally again, and it'll be on a different subject, not on automotive. So I just think the community needs to know where they're living and what they're surrounded by.
It's always an incredible feeling to learn just how much history is right outside your window. So as Michigan gets ready for the Dream Cruise, maybe take your own cruise through history every once in a while to learn just what makes your community so special. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
A great second car show for the West Bloomfield High School Atomigators. A big fundraiser for them as well as they get ready for that school year coming up in just a couple of weeks. And not only is that supporting their program at the high school, but also their other programs for the younger kids across the district at the middle school and elementary school level. More information on our West Bloomfield High School robotics program on Facebook at West Bloomfield Robotics. And of course, more events from the Historical Society, GWBHS.org. But Kevin, car show season continues right today. Well, yesterday that was that. Today it's over in Keagle Harbor.
Actually, yeah, and I had a moment to speak with the owner of Gino's Pizzeria and Restaurant, Gino Santia, who actually talked about his pre-Dream Cruise event that he's been throwing annually. And he's actually joining us right here on the Splash Live. And Gino, if you don't mind, if you could just take us back in time and just tell us the story about what we talked about off air, about how the pre-Dream Cruise actually got started.
Well, it was 1998 was our first year we did it. What happened was they had just started the Dream Cruise on Woodward, I think the year or 2 years prior, and I happened to be down there. I think we were having a class reunion, a West Bloomfield class reunion, and we all decided to go down to Woodward. And it was just so exciting down there. I thought, boy, I wish I could do something like that. And one day, I just decided to do it on a Monday before the cruise weekend, and I put it on our billboard, Classic Car Show tonight. And the first year we did it, that was the only advertising I did. We had about 60 cars show up. And
Really?
since
Oh,
then, we've
wow.
had well over 200 every year. It's an annual event
that is
here.
crazy. And that's good. That's good. 27 years growth. Can you just talk about how the event has evolved over the years since that time?
Well, we have, and what we do, if you'll look at the shirt that I've got on right now, it's got a picture of a 1964 GTO, Pontiac GTO, and so it happens to be the 60th year for the GTO. And every year, last year we did the Volkswagen bus. It was an anniversary year of that. So we kind of accent on what could be going on that particular year, an anniversary or whatever. And then when they did the road construction, we were shut down. There was no traffic through here except through the back way. But we still had the car show, and we had a black shirt with a truck, with a work truck that was kind of hauling dirt around. It was really kind of cool. People still will wear those shirts. Every once in a while, you'll come across somebody wearing one of those old shirts.
That's nice. Going all the way back. I love the connection that I love the passion for the classic cars too. Just knowing that we do have rich automotive history right here in our Greater West Bloomfield area. And with us live here on the Splash, we have Gino Santia, owner of Gino's Pizzeria and Restaurant. And we want to talk about also the type of effect that it's had on our local community. With the Dream Cruise, it's a great event, but it's not necessarily right here in our Greater West Bloomfield area specifically, which is why we're glad you brought an event here. But can you just talk about how the event has actually impacted the local community, residents and business-wise?
Well, I think other than in our local community here in Keego Harbor, other than the big Memorial Day parade we have every year on Memorial Day weekend, I think this is probably the largest event we have in our community. And I don't know for sure, but I did at one time that City of Keego even had it announced on their website that the date and the classic car show at Gino's. So it's kind of a gathering for the community. People walk here, ride their bikes here. More of the outskirt people will drive here, and it's a full parking lot and it's a full event. We have tents out there with face painting. We have a disc jockey playing music, usually the classic music, the oldies. And we have a hula hoop contest for the kids, a limbo contest for the kids. So it's a happening kind of thing.
Love
and we have food
that
and
right there.
soft drinks and other drinks in the parking lot. Last year was a perfect day. The weather was perfect. We ended up with, I think, 227 cars in our parking lot.
And we want to thank Gino again for his time coming right here on the Splash Live to talk more in regards to everything that happened, or that's going on, I should say, Monday, August 12th at Gino's Pizzeria and Restaurant. That's Gino's Pre-Dream Cruise. That'll be happening right there in Keego Harbor. Great event, Tyler.
Yeah, and for people that are coming into our community after their day at work, it's a perfect thing to go to. You come back in, you're on Orchard Lake Road heading back into West Bloomfield or into Sylvan Lake, or you're coming back up from the Waterford area and you want to drive through and see some classic cars, hang out with some fun people, and have a good time here on Monday night. That is a place to be. Gino's, 5 p.m. until dark in Keego Harbor, the 27th annual Gino's Pre-Dream Cruise Car Show. Plenty more to get to on the Splash Live all throughout the week. It's our time to go. You can find us always live, local, social, online on CivicCenterTV.com, on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, and on YouTube at Civic Center TV. For our entire team, Calvin Brown and Jake Schaff at Master Control, and Kevin McIntosh, I'm Tyler Kieft. Thanks for tuning in to the Splash Live.